From translation, RSV Revised Standard Version, this 137th day of the year, today we are reading passages 2 Chronicles 25-27, 2 Chronicles chapter 25, verses 1 to 28. Amaziah was 25 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned 29 years in Jerusalem. His mother's name was Jehoaddin of Jerusalem. And he did what was right in the eyes of the Lord, yet not with a whole heart. As soon as the kingdom was established in his hand, he slew his servants who had slain the king his father. But he did not put their children to death, according to what is written in the book of the law of Moses, as the Lord commanded, fathers shall not be put to death for their children, nor shall children be put to death for their fathers. But every one shall be put to death for his own sin. Then Amaziah assembled the men of Judah, and set them by fathers' houses under commanders of thousands, and of hundreds for all Judah and Benjamin. He mustered those 20 years old and upward, and found them to be 300,000 choice men able to go to war, and able to handle spear and shield. He hired also 100,000 mighty men of valor from Israel for 150 talents of silver. But a man of God came to him and said, O king, do not let the army of Israel go with you, for the Lord is not with Israel, with all these Ephraimites. But if you will go do it, be strong for the battle. God will cast you down before the enemy, for God has power to help and to cast down. And Amaziah said to the man of God, But what shall we do about the 100 talents which I have given to the army of Israel? The man of God answered, The Lord is able to give you much more than this. Then Amaziah discharged the army that had come to him from Ephraim, to go home again. Therefore their anger was greatly kindled against Judah, and they returned home in fierce anger. But Amaziah took courage, and led forth his people and went to the valley of Salt, and struck down 10,000 men of Seir. The men of Judah took 10,000 alive, and brought them to the top of a rock, and cast them down from the top of the rock, and they all were dashed in pieces. But the soldiers of the army which Amaziah had sent back, not letting them go with him to battle, fell upon the cities of Judah, from Samaria to Beth-horon, and slew 3,000 of them and took much spoil. After Amaziah came from slaughtering the Edomites, he brought the gods of the men of Seir, set them up as his own gods, bowed down before them, and made offerings to them. Therefore the anger of the Lord was kindled against Amaziah, and he sent to him a prophet, who said to him, Why have you sought the gods of a people that have not delivered their own people out of your hand? But as he was speaking with the king said to him, Have we made you a royal counselor? Stop, why should you be killed? Then the prophet ceased, but said, I know that God has determined to destroy you, because you have done this and have not heeded my counsel. Then Amaziah king of Judah took counsel, and sent to Joash the son of Jehoahaz, son of Jehu, king of Israel, saying, Come, let us look one another in the face. And Joash the king of Israel sent to Amaziah king of Judah, saying, A thorn bush of Lebanon sent to a cedar in Lebanon, saying, Give your daughter to my son for a wife. But a wild beast of Lebanon passed by and trampled down the thorn bush. You say, Behold, you have defeated Edom, and your heart has lifted you up in boastfulness, but stay at home. Why should you provoke trouble so that you fall, you and Judah with you? But Amaziah would not listen, for it was of God, in order that he might give them into the hand of their enemies, because they had sought the gods of Edom. So Joash king of Israel went up, and he and Amaziah king of Judah looked at each other face to face at Bethshemesh, which belongs to Judah. And Judah was defeated by Israel, and every man fled to his home. And Joash king of Israel captured Amaziah king of Judah, the son of Joash, the son of Ahaziah at Bethshemesh, and brought him to Jerusalem, and broke down the wall of Jerusalem from the Ephraim gate to the corner gate, 400 cubits. And he took all the gold and silver, and all the vessels that were found in the house of the Lord, and in the treasuries of the king's house, and hostages, and returned to Samaria. And Amaziah the son of Joash, king of Judah, lived after the death of Joash the son of Jehoahaz, king of Israel, 15 years. Now the rest of the acts of Amaziah, from first to last, are they not written in the book of the kings of Judah and Israel? And from the time that he turned away from the Lord, they made a conspiracy against him in Jerusalem, and he fled to Lachish. But they sent after him to Lachish, and killed him there. And they brought him back on horses, and he was buried with his fathers in the city of David. 2 Chronicles chapter 26, verses 1 to 23. Then all the people of Judah took Uzziah, who was 16 years old, and made him king in the place of his father Amaziah. He built a loth and restored it to Judah, after the king slept with his fathers. Uzziah was 16 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned 52 years in Jerusalem. His mother's name was Jechaliah of Jerusalem. And he did what was right in the eyes of the Lord, according to all that his father Amaziah had done. He set God as his helper, and as long as he sought the Lord, God made him prosper. Now he went out and made war against the Philistines, and broke down the wall of Gath, and the wall of Jabneh, and the wall of Ashdod, and built cities in the territory of Ashdod and among the Philistines. And God helped him against the Philistines, and against the Arabs who dwelt in Gerbal, and against the Meunites. The Ammonites gave tribute to Uzziah, and his fame spread even to the border of Egypt, for he became exceedingly strong. Moreover, Uzziah built towers in Jerusalem at the corner gate, and at the valley gate, and at the angle, and fortified them. And he built towers in the wilderness, and hewed many cisterns, for he had much livestock in the lowland and in the plain, and he had farmers and vine-dressers in the hills and in the fertile lands, for he loved the soil. Moreover, Uzziah had an army of fighting men, ready for war, 262,000 mighty men of valor, under the command of Hananiah, a mighty man of valor, and with him 280,000 men trained for war. These all were under the direction of Jael the secretary, and Maaseiah the officer, under the direction of Hananiah, of the king's commanders. And the whole number of the heads of the fathers' houses of mighty men of valor was 26,000. And under their direction was an army of 307,500, who could make war with mighty power, to help the king against his enemies. And Uzziah prepared for the whole army shields, spears, helmets, coats of mail, bows, and stones for the slings. But when he was strong, his heart was lifted up to his destruction, for he was unfaithful to the Lord his God, and entered the temple of the Lord to burn incense on the altar of incense. But Azariah the priest went in after him, with 80 of the priests of the Lord, who were valiant men. And they withstood King Uzziah, and said to him, It is not for you, Uzziah, to burn incense to the Lord, but for the priests the sons of Aaron, who are consecrated to burn incense. Depart from the sanctuary, for you have trespassed. And it will not be for your honor from the God. Then Uzziah was angry, and he had a censer in his hand to burn incense. And while he was angry with the priests, the leprosy broke out on his forehead in the presence of the priests in the house of the Lord, by the altar of incense. And Azariah the chief priest and all the priests looked at him, and behold, he was leprous on his forehead. And they thrust him out from there, and he himself made haste to go out, because the Lord had smitten him. And King Uzziah was a leper to the day of his death, and being a leper he dwelt in a separate house, and as a leper he was excluded from the house of the Lord. And Joatham his son was over the king's household, governing the people of the land. Now the rest of the acts of Uzziah, from first to last, Isaiah the prophet the son of Amoz wrote. And Uzziah slept with his fathers, and they buried him with his fathers in the field of burial which belonged to the kings, for they said, He is a leper. And Joatham his king reigned in his stead. 2 Chronicles chapter 27, verses 1-9. Joatham was 25 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned 16 years in Jerusalem. His mother's name was Jerusha the daughter of Zadok. And he did what was right in the eyes of the Lord, according to all that his father Uzziah had done, except that he did not enter the temple of the Lord, but the people still followed corrupt practices. He built the upper gate of the house of the Lord, and did much building on the wall of Ophel. Moreover, he built cities in the hill country of Judah, and forts and towers in the forests. He fought with the king of the Ammonites, and prevailed against them. And the Ammonites gave him that year 100 talents of silver, and 10,000 measures of wheat, and 10,000 of barley. The Ammonites also paid him this amount in the 2nd and 3rd years. So Joatham became mighty, because he directed his ways before the Lord his God. Now the rest of the acts of Joatham, his wars and all his ways, are they not written in the book of the kings of Israel and Judah? He was 25 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned 16 years in Jerusalem. And Joatham slept with his fathers, and they buried him in the city of David, and Ahaz his son reigned in his stead.